Happy New Year. I want to start by letting you guys know that there is currently maintenance people working on the roofs of my apartment complex. So if you hear anything like banging or knocking in the background, that's what that is. I'm sorry, I could only do so much. They're literally working on the roofs for like the next month or two. And if I want to put out any sort of anything, I need to record with that in the background. So love that for me. Hopefully it doesn't pick it up. I know OBS can be a little picky on what it's like picking up through my mic, so we'll see. Maybe it won't be picked up, or maybe it is, and you're just like, wow, now I have a headache because of this constant knocking in the background. And I'm sorry. Join the club. It is now 2023, which is very strange because it still feels like it is 2016 to me. I don't feel like I'm in my 20s, but it's fine, I think. I think it's okay. It's weird anytime I go anywhere and somebody asks me my age because I actually have to think about it, to think about how old I am. Just a little sad. But that means I'm an adult, right? Because I don't pay attention to my age anymore. Gotta think about it when my birthday rolls around, but that's okay, because thankfully I was born in the year 2000, so it's very easy for me to figure out my age, but I still have to think about it. I've set a whole bunch of new goals for myself, and I'm very excited because even though at the time that this is going to be posted, we're only like a week into the year, I have pretty much hit like all of my goals every day so far. And between like when comparing to last year I still set goals for myself, which I believe are still attainable because some of them I didn't hit, which is okay, like that happens. But I tried to look at those goals that I didn't hit last year and think about why I didn't reach them and to find out a solution to make it a little bit easier on myself to try and hit those goals this year. I also noticed that when I was looking back on last year, I kind of derailed a little bit. I had really good motivation towards the first half of the year. It started slowing down around April, but I was still holding steady all the way throughout my birthday. And then once my birthday kind of hit, I just kind of lost all motivation, not only in the streaming and content creation aspect of things, but also just in my day-to-day. I still have a really bad Apex addiction, which I feel like contributed to a point, but I'm trying to adjust the way that I function in my day-to-day to still, feed my Apex addiction, but to also get other things done and to actually be productive. So I'm trying this year to not let myself unmotivate myself, if that makes sense. So for example, like there would be days where I wanted to work on YouTube content or I wanted to work on a podcast, but instead I'd prioritize my day a little bit differently and be like, okay, well, do I want to start with recording a podcast and then I could edit it a little bit and then take a break and play Apex and then finish it after Apex? Or do I want to start with Apex? And any single time I decided to start with Apex, nothing would get done. And I knew that too. After seeing it happen day in and day out, I'd be like, well, when I start with Apex, I don't get anything done. So how about this? I'll start with Apex for an hour and then I'll get things done. And that never happens. So I would just play Apex all day and then I'd feel like shit because I didn't do anything other than play Apex. Did I have fun while playing Apex? Yeah, of course I did. But at the same time, I wasn't as productive as I could have been. When I was also looking back on my day, I know I keep jumping around, I'm so sorry. Maybe I'll fix it in editing, maybe I won't. And you're just sitting there like, Brie, I have no idea what you're saying. You already lost me like 5 minutes ago. And I'm sorry if that's the case, but this is just how my brain functions, okay? Probably have ADHD. It's fine. But I felt like I didn't have any time to do things because I would wake up in the morning and I'd wake up 2 hours before work and I'd spend an hour and a half on TikTok. That was just like my let me wake up and get ready for the day sort of thing that I did. I would just spend time on TikTok. And to me, that meant that I didn't have any time because I wasn't registering, oh, I'm just on TikTok. I should get off of TikTok. My brain was like, no, this is me time. We're on TikTok for an hour and a half, and that's just how we function. And then I wouldn't get anything done. So I'm trying to use that morning time off of TikTok and to do other things. So on the first of the year, I tried to put this into effect, and I had company over, so I had that obstacle to also juggle because I had to, pay attention to them and also try and get all of my tasks done. But I found that that day I didn't go on TikTok at all, which isn't going to be the case for every single day, but I was able to get all of my goals done. And I still had time to play Apex. And I found that after I got through everything that I prioritized first before Apex, by the time it came around to play Apex, I wasn't as into it because I had the satisfaction from accomplishing my other goals that I didn't need that instant gratification of playing Apex, which I still played Apex for a couple hours and I still had fun, but it wasn't like every other time that I would play Apex where I'd only really play it to like try to have that instant sort of gratification from it. So it was nice to see that I was able to accomplish other things and get other content worked on, whether it be completed and posted somewhere or scheduled ready to go, or it was just something that I was just working on as a project. It was nice to feel that accomplishment. And it also showed in my mood. I felt so much better because I knew that I was better managing my time. And I was able to work on things that I have wanted to work on for so long that have been there that I just haven't given the time of day for. Pretty much, long story short, I'm trying to better manage my time this year and actually manage my time, because I've said that all last year. I'm like, oh yeah, it should be easy if I just do this, if I just do this. No, I'm actually stopping myself from doom scrolling on TikTok or being on Apex for 20 hours a day. And I'm actually working towards the things that I want to work on. So for real this time, there will be more content out, and I'm very excited because I already have things in the works. And the way that I'm making sure that I do this every day is I set a minimum time frame that I know I can achieve every single day to ensure that I'm actually working towards something. So with editing, for example, editing is like my biggest roadblock when it comes to content creation, just because it's more of a mental roadblock. Once I spend like 5 minutes editing, I'm on a roll. I could do it. It's just that initial 5 minutes of being like, okay, I need to find a project to work on and I need to figure out how I want to work on this. And this is going to take so much time. Like, there's so many things in my head that are just stopping me from just starting, that if I probably added up all the minutes of me being like, wow, I don't want to edit because X, Y, and Z, I probably would have 30 videos done. That's how much time I spend just dreading editing, which is sad because when I was in high school, I loved editing. I got certified in Adobe Premiere Pro. I wanted to do YouTube, and that was kind of what got my feet wet in terms of content creation. So I know how to edit, and I haven't done it in a while, so that's why some of my videos are a little rusty. You can tell that they don't like really flow that well, but that'll come the more I edit, which is the other thing that was frustrating me. Was anytime I would try to edit a project, to me, it had to be perfect. Like, I didn't want to release it until it was perfect. And that held me back from posting so many things, just because I would try and edit it and I had an idea in my head being like, I want it to look like this, and I just couldn't make it look the way that I wanted to. So I'd give up on it. And the more I edit, the easier it'll be to create those things that I have in my head. And also the faster it'll be, because I'll know shortcuts and I'll know how to make things look better without wasting as much time on it. So I'm going to be posting things. They're obviously not going to be perfect, but I just need that push to kind of get things out there, get content out there, because without content, you can't get anywhere. You know, like if you're not posting anything, then you're not going to get anywhere. So I'm not going to post like things that belong in the trash. I'm still going to try my best, but they're not going to be perfect. And even just in the few videos that I posted in the last couple weeks, watching them over and over and over again, and the editor, I'm like, oh, this is fine. And then once I upload them to YouTube or I upload them to TikTok and I watch them back, I'm like, oh, well, I can already see like 3 things that I can improve on. Like the last YouTube video that I posted. At the time, I wanted to keep so much in there, and I even cut down so many clips, but still I kept some clips pretty long because I felt for whatever reason that they needed to be that long. And then when I uploaded it to YouTube and watching it back, I was like, wow, I don't know why I kept this as long as I did. I probably should have cut this down a little bit. And even Jackson watching it back, he's like, why did you keep this so long? And I'm like, I don't know. So maybe I'll run some things by Jackson before I post them. But I just need to allow myself to be confident in the stuff that I'm creating, because I know that even though it's not perfect now, it will one day be to the point where I'd be happy with it. or even maybe I won't. And that's okay, because in the long run, the more I do it, the more I'll improve. So I just need to allow myself to grow and stop being my own personal roadblock. So those are already 2 ways that I held myself back last year with time management and being just a mental roadblock and not allowing myself to try new things and try new editing styles and try to figure out who I want to be as a person and a content creator. Hey, it's getting cold out there. You know, the temperature's dropping. I was just in North Carolina and it was a balmy 40 degrees. That's cold for me as a native Floridian. But if it's cold where you are, then you should check out our merch store at BlindedBySilence.com. We have some really nice quality hoodies and crew necks that are so soft. I honestly live in my blinded crew neck. But if you go to BlindedBySilence.com and use code PODCAST, that is PODCAST, you will save 10% off your hoodie or crew neck or hat. All proceeds support my stream and my content, so I really appreciate you guys taking the time to check it out. But go to the website. Okay, bye. I started going live on TikTok again. And by starting, I mean like yesterday I went live on TikTok for one of the first times in a while. I think today, since I'm not working today, I'm going to go live on TikTok from my computer and just play like a little bit of Apex. Because, so I've talked about it before. I don't know if I brought it up on the podcast, actually. I talk about it a lot on Twitch, which is like a little sketchy. Like maybe I shouldn't mention it on Twitch because they could pop in at any given time. But there is a company that works with TikTok that like had these codes so you could stream off of OBS onto TikTok. And I got their permission back in June. And then I streamed like, I don't even think I streamed when I first got the code. So like they gave me the code in June and then I didn't stream all the way until like August. And they messaged me, they were like, hey, you know, if we're giving you this code that you need to stream because there's so many other people that are begging us for codes and we only have so many. So if you're not streaming, we're going to kick you off the program, which I believe I signed for a year. Like I signed a contract for a year. So technically they couldn't have taken away from me, but whatever. So I got freaked out and I was like, well, crap. Like at the time, when I first got the code, I just didn't even think about it. I was like, this looks complicated to set up. I'll just set it up when I get a minute. And then I never did. I just never looked into it. And then 2 months passed, life just got busy and I just kind of stepped away from it. And then they messaged me that and I was like, well, crap. Like I know in the future at some point I'm going to want to have this option in terms of streaming if I ever wanted to come back to TikTok. Because at the time I didn't care about TikTok. I was like, I don't care to post new videos. I don't care to go live. But I know in the future, if I want to, I don't want to close this door. So I apologized to them. They said it was okay. And then I went live on TikTok like a few times. And then the same thing. I didn't go live for a few months. And then they messaged me again. They're like, hey, we see you haven't been live. So I went live once. And then it's coming around that time again where I haven't gone live in a few months. So I was like, crap, I need to reuse this code. So I'm going to try and do that on my days off where I'm going to go live on TikTok. So we'll see how that goes, because I would like to kind of revive my TikTok, especially now that Hover doesn't really exist anymore. Those of you who don't know what Hover was, it was kind of like TikTok for streamers, where people would post a whole bunch of clips and they had contests every week where you could upload your clips and you could win money. And it was a really cool app. But the way that it kind of fell apart was the people at the top were the only ones really benefiting, and everyone else that wasn't like a giant partnered streamer just kind of fell into like a support for support kind of loop, which just disintegrated the community and everything kind of fell apart. So that doesn't exist anymore, which is fine because it was very cliquey anyway. Anytime I would try to become friends with people, it just didn't really work out in anybody's favor. But I did meet some cool people off of it, so I guess that's nice. But Hover doesn't exist anymore, so I want to try and revive my TikTok and YouTube. So YouTube and TikTok are going to be my big focuses this year. Obviously, I'm still going to be streaming. I'm still going to be putting a lot of my attention towards Twitch. But in terms of the content creation side of things, YouTube and TikTok are going to be like my main focus. I'm also going to do my best to stick with the bi-weeklies for the podcast. So every other Saturday, we will have a podcast episode posted. So if you like what you hear so far, please be sure to drop a follow so you can be notified the next time that an episode drops. We are now on over 10 different streaming platforms for the podcast. I believe right now we are at 12, and I applied to be on a 13th. So we are on 12 different platforms. So if you're listening to this now, well, technically 13 already because I also posted on YouTube. So we're on 13 platforms. I applied to a 14th. So if you're listening to this and you want to hear more, be sure to either subscribe to the YouTube or follow on whatever listening platform you are listening on. So going back to goals for the year, one of my other goals was to actually attempt to learn Spanish. So this one is a little difficult because I tried Duolingo a few months ago and then I was super into it. I had like a 60 or 70 day streak and then I stopped it for a day. And then after you kind of stop for a day, you stop for 2 days and then it turned into a week. And then before I knew it, it had been 3 months. So I opened Duolingo on the 31st and I was like, okay, let me give this another try. You know, I want to learn Spanish. Jackson wants to learn Spanish. Most of the people that he works with only speak Spanish, so he feels like he needs to learn it to be able to communicate with everybody. Because there have been a lot of meetings that he's been in where he just cannot talk to people and he just kind of sits there twiddling his thumbs. So we both want to learn Spanish. And when I was doing my 70-day streak of Duolingo, I kind of flew through everything because it was easy. It was all stuff that I learned in high school and I was just blowing through it. It was super simple. And I was also doing it every single day. So it was easy to build off of that prior knowledge, right? So one of the things that I liked to do when I was doing Duolingo the first time was anytime you go through a unit, there's like a little test at the end that you can do 8 times. And once you finish the test 8 times, it kind of locks the unit and you can't access it anymore. So I was super dead set on I'm gonna complete every single unit in full. And that way I was like accomplished. But I didn't know that I couldn't go back and like review it, that it was literally locked. So when I came back on the 31st trying to attempt to learn Spanish, I was like, okay, let me just start at unit 1. Let me do a little review and go through each unit and then I'll be fine. Unit 1 was locked. I was like, okay, let me try unit 2. Unit 2 was locked. So I had to start where I left off, which was unit 12. And by this point, they already taught me quite a good chunk of Spanish. And I forgot quite a good chunk of Spanish. So I was trying my best, getting quite a few questions wrong. And Duolingo was A, happy that I was back after 3 months, and B, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why don't you remember any Spanish? I'm like, Duolingo, you literally know that I haven't been here in 3 months. What do you mean? So I took a little break from Spanish after trying, like, to get through a few sessions of Unit 12. And I was also trying to learn Japanese at the time that I started learning Spanish. So I switched over to Japanese. And tell me why I did better in Japanese than I did in Spanish. Mind you, when I was trying to learn both of these languages the first time, I spent probably 95% of my time in Spanish and 5% of my time in Japanese. Tell me why I got 19 out of 20 correct in Japanese on the first little session, compared to like my 5 out of 30 correct in Spanish. Like I didn't even look at any Japanese in that 3 month span, and I still did that well in a 3 month span. So I'm gonna be learning Japanese instead of Spanish. No, I'm still gonna be trying to learn both of them. I have also gotten back into watching anime. So one of the animes that I watched was Chainsaw Man. And I didn't see any Japanese because I was watching it. It was dubbed in Japanese but subbed in English. So I was watching it, listening to Japanese but reading English subtitles. So I didn't really see any Japanese. So there wasn't really any way for me to like kind of piece everything together. But I don't know. I did better in Japanese than I did in Spanish. So maybe at one point I will be able to read Japanese and be fluent, and then I can finally go to Japan. Speaking of Japan, I've been watching so much PewDiePie lately, and he moved to Japan, for those of you who don't know. Those of you who don't know PewDiePie, are you living under a rock? Anyway, he moved to Japan, and he posts so many vlogs of him just exploring Japan, and I watched one this morning, and I was in heaven because I want to go so bad, but it's probably not going to happen for a little while because I want to try and learn a little bit of Japanese before I head over there. there. But Japan is so pretty. So pretty. I love watching vlogs of people just like exploring Japan, and it fascinates the crap out of me, just the architecture and the culture over there. Like, I want to go so bad. I forgot what I was gonna say because my phone started buzzing and it distracted me. Oh, I was watching PewDiePie outside because that's another goal of mine. I want to try to have time outside every single day. So I don't know what I'm gonna do when it's raining, but we'll see. So I want to try and spend at least 15 minutes outside every single day because I have a back patio. It's covered, it's screened in. So what I've been doing is in the morning, I'll have like my breakfast out there, or I'll eat my lunch out there just to kind of allow myself to get some fresh air and some sunlight. Because one of the things that I noticed when I was only playing Apex all day and I was in my room, all my blinds are closed because I'm mortified of anybody ever looking in my windows, not to see me, but to see what I have in my office. Like, I don't want somebody to see my computer through the window and be like, she has a computer, we're gonna go in there and get the computer. Like, that terrifies me. So I always have my blinds closed. So it's always dark in here and I don't get any sunlight, which is not good. It's not good for the human body to not get any sunlight. So I was taking like vitamin supplements, but that just doesn't hit the same as getting some sunlight and some fresh air. So I've been forcing myself just 15 minutes a day. It's nothing crazy, going out there and hanging out. But like I said, so I set like minimum time blocks for the things that I want to do. So I want to try and spend 15 minutes outside every day. I want to try and spend 15 minutes practicing either Spanish or Japanese every day. And I want to try and spend at least 30 minutes editing every single day. So that is in total an hour of time that I want to try and set aside every single day to help accomplish the goals that I have for myself. So when you look at it like that, an hour looks like a lot of time, but I don't have to do it all in one sitting. I don't have to like do it all back to back. So for example, the outside time and Spanish, I could do that at the same exact time. I could just sit out there and practice Duolingo outside. Easy. With editing, if I only have 30 minutes to edit, then at least I'm working on a project. Or if I have more time to set aside to it, I could either come back or I could just sit there and edit, which is really nice. So like I said, I'm jumping around a lot, but going back to the first, when I tried to accomplish all my goals, I told myself like, okay, I'm only gonna edit for about 30 minutes. And thankfully that day I had hours to dedicate to it. So I knew going into it, I only had to do 30 minutes. And once the 30 minutes were up, I could either continue or I could stop. And I decided to continue. So I worked all the way through. Yesterday, the second, I had to go to work. So in the morning, I woke up my 2 hours before work. Still gave myself about 30 minutes on TikTok, so nothing crazy. But I got up, ate breakfast, and then I was like, okay, let me edit. So I only had about 30 minutes to edit because I had to start getting ready for work. And I started getting a mental roadblock being like, hey, do I really want to edit for 30 minutes? I'm not going to be able to finish anything. And if I start working on something, I just know that once the time is up, I'm going to get to a point where I'm not going to want to stop. And then I'm going to get all frustrated because I'm stopping when I was like on a roll. So I just tried to push those thoughts aside and I sat down. I was like, okay, I'm going to start on a project. And I already had a project kind of started where I posted a like clip on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram a few days ago. It was the caustic one. And I had that project with like a few extra clips thrown in there where I could edit the clips at any given time. So I opened that up and I started working on a clip. And I was like getting frustrated because I didn't want to work on that clip right then. And I was like, I don't have time to start a new project. I don't really want to work on this clip. So I moved on to the next clip. So I edited the second clip a little bit. And then I got the motivation back to work on the original clip that I wanted to work on. So then I was working on 2 clips and I was like, okay, so I cut them up, got them to where I wanted them to be. Then I looked at the clock. I still had 13 minutes left to edit. I was like, all right, well, I feel a little bit better now. I feel like I can kind of work on one of these and be okay. And if I don't finish it, it's okay. I just had to keep telling myself, if I don't finish it, it's okay. I have time to work on it another time. It's fine. So I went back to the original clip and I started adding subtitles to it. And I almost finished with the subtitles and then my alarm went off being like, hey, 30 minutes is up. Time to kind of wrap up what you're working on and start getting ready for work. So instead of getting upset like I thought I would, being like, oh, I'm out of time, I felt relieved. Not that the time was up, but that I actually pushed myself to try and work on something without focusing on completing it in that time frame. So I was able to work on a project and not be stressed out that I didn't finish it. And that was really nice because now I had a project that was almost done. It was almost done and I just needed to dedicate maybe like another 30 minutes to it, just to finish it up and clean it up and finalize it. And it just makes it easier for the next day. Would it have been nice to have finished it? Yes, but I didn't have the time because I just had things after work that I knew I couldn't come back to work on the clip. But I still got it done, and I was still proud of myself for that aspect of things. It's like these things sound so small, but like to me, they're massive because compared to last year, I didn't set like an actual plan for myself. I was just like, okay, well, I want to post on YouTube. And in theory, on paper, that sounds easy. But when you're in charge of editing everything yourself, because I don't have an editor, I can't afford an editor. So I'm in charge of making all the content, editing all the content, and putting it on YouTube and making sure that it's marketed to the right people so that way it gets views and then it goes somewhere. Like it's hard, and I recognize that. And I'm not complaining. I don't want anybody to think that I'm complaining or that I'm unhappy with the way that things have been moving, because I am super excited with the way that things have been moving. It's just realistically, people don't talk about how time consuming it is to do content creation. And if it's something that you're considering doing and something that you think you can just start and be famous in one night, like, yeah, there are crazy stories where that happens to people, but realistically, it just doesn't happen. And not everybody's cut out for content creation. There have been so many times where I thought that I wasn't, and maybe I'm not, but I'm still going to give it a shot and I'm still going to try my best, and we're going to kind of see where this goes. And I hope that the plans that I set for myself this year will help me reach those overall goals that I wasn't able to attain last year. And I hope that you guys stick around for the ride. There's so many people that I was thinking about because one of the goals that I set for myself last year was to make new friends. And I did that. I met so many incredible people last year, and there are so many people that I'm very happy to have going into this year, and I hope that they stick around, and I hope that they're the people that I could collab with again in the future. And some of them I haven't had a chance to collab with yet, so hopefully we can get some stuff out there in the future. But I'm overall excited to see how this year is going to play out and how things are going to look at the end of the year. And I already took down my notes of everything so I could see the tracking in the future in terms of analytics and if this plan is actually benefiting. And I will keep you all posted. But one thing that I noticed actually this morning when I was looking at all the analytics was that the podcast now has listeners in over 17 countries. So that's pretty cool. I think placing the podcast on the 13 different listening platforms has definitely helped. But welcome to all the new listeners. Those of you that might be listening to this as your first ever episode, welcome. I hope you're enjoying this, my rambles. But I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. So like I said a little bit earlier, if you did enjoy listening to this podcast, please be sure to follow it on your favorite listening platform. If you want to see more content from me, check the description of this episode. There's a whole bunch of links everywhere. I'm on just about everything. You can look me up on every social media platform. My username is either BlindedBySilence or something very similar to it. If you just search that, I'm sure I'll pop up. I do stream on Twitch every Monday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/BlindedBySilence. If you want to check out my merchandise, since we do have a little podcast section of the merchandise, please go to BlindedBySilence.com and use code podcast to save 10% on your order. Thank you again, everybody, for listening, and I hope you have an amazing 2023, and I'll catch you not next Saturday, but the Saturday after. Bye!